Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and if I seem a little bit below the weather or down, recently I had a passing of the family. I tweeted it out the other day, and I just want to thank you all for the insane support you guys show me. It really means a lot, and we're doing well. Nova and I, wherever she is, we're doing well. And well, I wanted to make a video. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare today's video, but I saw something on Twitter today, and I kind of had like, I don't know if it's a revelation or just a thought that came from it, and it came to from Brian Kibler. Kibler's been pretty negative towards the Hearthstone meta these past couple of expansions, with the United Storm and with quests, and then most recently just with like Roguestone and all of that. Like he's had his issues. He's been pretty vocal about it. He's made videos on it, and I'm not gonna try and speak for him, but he has tweeted about this again, and I kind of wanted to respond to the this whole issue about the meta in the game and all of that. And I will say, like, today I streamed standard ladder, which is something I can say I couldn't possibly have done during Night and Stormwind. It just drove me nuts. And I faced every single class today. I faced every class, so it's not like it's a representation issue by class. I feel like since the nerfs have gone live, the meta is relatively healthy in class distribution, but I did notice a trend that none of the games were particularly that fun. They were tolerable at times, overall frustrating a lot of the times, but overall, I didn't have a lot of fun. So let's go into this by what Kibler had to say, where he said, I weirdly actually think I personally like the Roguestone metagame better than what it seems like right now, since that at least it felt like it was something you could effectively build decks to target, rather than this aggro quest OTK mush with no viable control or mid-range decks. I'm not saying this metagame is worse, because it clearly isn't, broadly speaking. There's obviously a lot more variety when it was like 70% rogue at high legend. What I am saying is that I'm enjoying it much less, mostly because quests still stink. Maybe I'll be proven wrong here, and I'd love that, but I feel the metagame after the busted OTK and rogue decks gets nerfed is exactly what I feared when I scheduled those tweets, aggro quest combo, because quest mechanics push slow decks out. And yeah, that's you know, I definitely share some sentiment to that. When I played today, that was my frustration. And again, I hate using my tweets as an example for when we cover stuff, but this is how I feel about the whole thing, and I thought I summed it up pretty well, and people responded pretty well to it, so I'm going to quote myself, read my own things, because it's what I would just say out loud. So my kind of, the way I feel about it is, the big problem of this is it doesn't matter what happens. So basically what I said is, the reason everyone still complains after everything is nerfed, and I know not everyone is complaining, I saw Kibler's tweet. I've seen a lot of people bitching about a lot of stuff, including like guff, like quests, like OTKs, like all this stuff still constant. Like I rarely see anything positive, and that's coming from Mr. Negative himself, right? Like I rarely see that. So that was kind of my response to that. That after everything is nerfed is simple but honest, and nobody wants to say it, but I will. When every deck is designed around high roll mana cheating, uninteractive OTKs, or hyper aggression, you're never going to be happy about what you face. Until we see a general design philosophy change of making card draw come at a price, or cards in general come at a price, these constant demand for nerfs will remain constant. The game just isn't that fun to play unless you're really into the strategies. And basically what I'm saying is, you can nerf some of these quests, you can nerf some of these decks, they'll get worse, and then the other, you know, badly designed or deck that we don't like, or a lot of us don't like, will take its place. That's what happened, right? Rogue we didn't like. It cheated a bunch of mana, it got nulls out early, and now it got nerfed, and now it's replaced by this meta, this top 1000 meta, which has aggro druid, which cheats out a bunch of umbral owls and matriarchs, or, you know, other minions, top minions, cheats it all out, doesn't pay for mana, has insane mana draw with the composting. You have beast druid, same thing. You have face hunter, which is just hyper aggressive, go face, right? And then you have Quest Hand Warlock, which is something that no control deck can really beat. It just locks that out. Also involves mana cheating with Flesh Giants. If you're running the Rune Mithril Rob at 5 mana, whatever, same deal, mana cheat, and infinite value. Libram Paladin is just another infinite deck with a bunch of mana cheat with the Librams, Libram of Wisdom, Aggro Shadow Priest, hyper aggressive. Freeze Elemental Shaman, probably the closest to a board-based style of deck, but it frustrates the hell out of people because it's not interactive in the way that the hold freeze packages. You don't get to play the game, you're locked out. People get frustrated. Quest Shaman, effectively infinite value plus mana cheat with lightning blooms and discounting and stuff. Clown Druid, mana cheat with lightning bloom, overgrowth, etc., etc. You see the point. It's either hyper aggressive, it's mana cheat, or whatever. And you can nerf like 5 of these decks, right? You'll nerf 5 of them, bump them down, they'll be taken over by another deck that does something very similar, is very frustrating to face. It's just the whole design philosophy you've been talking about for a while. This is what happens when mid-range decks, when value decks, when control decks aren't there to even things out. You either have the crazy aggro decks or the crazy mana cheat decks and all of that. And the deck that I'm in love with that I keep playing is no different than any of this, to be honest with you. I've been playing a lot of Ramp Druid, which isn't performing particularly well at higher ranks. But what does this deck do? It cheats a bunch of mana, or gets a bunch of mana with Guff. It has Lightning Bloom, it has Overgrowth, it cheats out, you know, your corrupt cards, and you just get a bunch of infinite random crap with your resizing pouches. It's no better than these things. It's why people are frustrated with Guff and all of that. It's the design philosophy of the game. The way the game has been the past couple of years has gone away from board-based decks. It's gone away from more refined value. It's gone away from like limited damage. We have infinite damage with the Demon Seed, with Ignite, with all these different cards that if you're an old school player like a Brian Kibler, like myself, you're never going to be happy. It doesn't matter what's nerfed. If the design isn't there to support the style of decks you like, what difference does it make if 5 of these, you know, quest decks or combo decks or hyper aggro decks get nerfed? It's just going to be replaced with something. So it's like the big problem here isn't really so much the power level, although the power level, of course, of these decks are insane compared to control, which is a problem. But regardless, like, power level can only do so much when you have infinite value, infinite damage, super hyper aggression. Like, you got a 1-drop in Iron Deep Trog that can just auto win against any spell deck. So what point am I making? I just kind of wish Hearthstone would just revert a little bit back to what it used to be. For old school players like myself, I miss control decks. I miss more classic mid-range. There's a hint of it here and there. Like, you have the free shaman, you have Ramp Druid, you have some decks that have a little bit of that mid-range feel, but they're far and few between. It's mostly just really aggressive or just a bunch of scam crap, and it just makes the agency of each game not super relevant. It leads to these frustrating, polarized experiences, and it doesn't matter what gets nerfed, you're still gonna feel that way. And if you like those strategies, then you don't care, you're happy. And personally, I'm just trying to get to the point where I just stomach it. Like, I just play Guff Druid and turn my brain off. I just hope I draw Guff, do some broken stuff, and try to ignore the bullshit that's happening against me, and just chat with my chat and try not to take the game very seriously. I don't try and get as invested as I used to. Like, I try and feel like I have to just kind of numb myself to it because there's so much dumb crap. There's so many games are just decided by the matchup. What quests they're running, what OTK they're running, what scam card did they draw early. It just feels like, I don't know, old school Hearthstone feels like a distant memory. It feels like value's gone, control's gone, and we're just about scamming, we're just about aggro, or we're just about OTK. And if the design philosophy stays the same way, that's just never really going to change. And Kibler's going to be complaining about this stuff all the time. It's never going to change. If they keep making the same style of cards and making them the powerful cards, the focus of every meta, like we've seen basically this past year, it won't change. And I'm worried about it because you rarely ever see them admit to a mistake. They don't fundamentally change cards. The only time they've admitted to a mistake lately was Mindrender Lucia. They've still the Demon Seed. They won't change it fundamentally. They won't change Ignite fundamentally. They won't change the mass mana cheat fundamentally. They'll just tweak some numbers, but it's stuff they all want in the game. And I guess I'll go with a big example of that to leave off with. Not a deck that's particularly dominating, but it's very frustrating to face. But it's a card, Nazmani Bloodweaver. This card to me is proof that that's a direction where they made this card, and it originally, when it targeted spells in your hand, it could hit the same one once. They actually buffed this card so that it made sure it would hit a card that costs mana or more, and made it so it's really easy to mana cheat, where in old school Hearthstone, there's no way they would ever do that. They would make it random, so it'd be worse. It's a calculated effort to have this type of mana cheat in the game, to have these OTKs in the game, to have this infinite damage in the game, and to basically, it's calculated to eliminate mid-range value and control. It just is. If it wasn't, these things would have been changed by now. And I'm afraid Kibler and myself are just going to be in this ever-ending cycle of complaining about, well, where's my control? Where's my mid-range? Where's my value? It's not there. And with the current design philosophy, like I said, it's not going to come back. And that's kind of the big problem that I see that we're not really talking about, is if the devs don't see an issue with it, if that's what they want, then we're kind of screwed. And yeah, I don't know. I think the core set rotation, standard rotation, will be the big test to all this, to see if maybe, you know, with a lot of this stuff rotating, maybe they do that mass nerf, and maybe they change their philosophy a little bit. But if the power level doesn't change, the direction doesn't change, yeah, I don't know if there's really room for more old school players, and it's just all about killing your opponent really fast, really quickly, with either a scam, aggro, or combo deck, and kind of leave it at that. So that's my take on it. I'm still going to play some Guff Druid on ladder, still have some fun with it. I'm still enjoying that, but overall, it's just a giant scam. It's a bunch of random nonsense, and you know, it is what it is. So there you go. Let me know your guys' takes in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and stay salty, my friends.